everybody. My name is Cecilia Thomas. I'm the Marketing Web Manager for GRU.edu, grhealth.org, and PAWS, our infamous intranet. I'm here with the web team. We have Davin Miller, Heather Hopkins, and the infamous Channing Sherman. Yay, Channing.
I'm trying to figure out how to do one. I didn't do too much, I think.
We hadn't gotten together in quite a while, and so we thought it would be a good time to kind of bring everybody up to date on what's going on with the web and where we are and how things are progressing. And if we could go to the next slide. You need help. We all need help all the time. That seems to be our daily existence. One of the things that has happened in the past is we've asked you all to send your requests to web content. There are 4 of us that get those requests. We all get the web content email. It gets very confusing as to who's handling which one, what's happening with this one. It gets lost. Sometimes we get a telephone call, can you do this, can you do that? It's a lot easier if you could help us keep track of all of these by going to gru.edu web request. There's a form there. Can we bring that up?
Yes,
do you think we can bring up the form?
I know.
The first part of the form just asks you for your information, your name, your email account, and your department, I believe.
Phone number.
Phone number, that's right, phone number. You can get to it by going to web request off of the OCM web page, but we've created a redirect, gru.edu/web request, and it will take you directly to the web request room. Put in your email, your name, your telephone number, and your email, and the next page is requester type. And this is where you really need to know what do you need, because there's several different types that it could be. If you're looking for just general GRU website, OU Canvas support, something's not working for you, you need something to happen somewhere,
You can't
you
log
really
in.
don't know what it is, you can't find what you're looking for, something like that. That's just basic support. Just say that, it comes up, the next thing will give you give the URL for the site that you're looking for, and a text box, and you type in what your issue is. Cut and dry, very simple. Hit submit, I get it in our list, delve it out to whoever is responsible for it, it gets taken care of, your communication gets back to you. You'll get an email almost immediately that will have your request number in the subject line of the email. If you've got questions about that request, if you've got more information you need to send us about that request, please stay on that email trail because it helps us keep track of everything on that request. Okay? The next type of request is develop a new site. This one's a little more complicated. There are a lot more questions. There's a lot more information that we need about a new site. Why do you need a new site? Who's requesting this new site? Do you have content for this new site? Do you have a site map for it? Do you have images for it? All of that we need to know. If you don't, just say okay, but give us a reason why you need that new site. Somebody's requested it, it's a new section in our department, whatever that may be. We'll follow up with you and then we'll get that in a process. We'll probably have a meeting to really discuss it and see where it would fall within your architecture. The next one is gru.edu add or change a feature. This is if you want something added to your site, you want a calendar listing, you want a special kind of widget, you need something changed on your site, something very kind of specific rather than just a basic support, okay? The next one is for pause. If you've got something on pause or you want to be included in pause, select pause. Again, that's a very simple one. There's a text box. You fill it in and you'll get a response, and we'll get that in the process. And the next one is grhealth.org, which I'm assuming most of you probably don't have many connections with grhealth.org, since this is an open campus group. Any questions on the request? Please, please try to use this. It simplifies and streamlines that whole process and keeps your project in a nice little container where we can track everything that's gone on, anything else that needs to happen with it. We are looking for a webmaster. We have not had much luck with our ads or posting it on HR. If you know of anybody who would be interested in working with a dynamic team and having fun, I mean, we really try to make it fun. It's a little unusual position, and we're looking for just that right person there. So if you know of anybody, please send them our way. Okay?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get to your
Are you next?
buttons like that.
No, Channing?
You know, I think we're going to sit here.
Stand up, Channing.
No, like back in the 90s, we would have a rap session. You really wanted to, you know. Yeah. Oh, God. That was not even well. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Channing Sherman. I'm sure a few of you have cursed my name on more than a few occasions when I've had to answer these. I'm here to talk to you all and let you all know that the web is not magic. Trust me, some days we wish it was, because it would make our job a whole lot easier.
And some days it is. Some days there are things that happen that we go, how did that happen? It's magic.
That's usually when I'm working from home and I've had a few drinks. Oh, wow. Anyway. Nobody here's from HR, right? They owe me a favor. So sadly, there is no magic button on the internet to do anything. You watch shows like CSI and some of these other technology shows, and you see them just go up to a computer, press 2 or 3 buttons, and stuff just appears. Sadly, it doesn't work like that. Even for something as simple as creating a new section, there's development time that goes into it. There's planning time. A lot of times we have to try to track down content for people because they, for some reason, don't want to provide it to us. So you have to kind of factor all that stuff in. And I say that just to kind of give you all an understanding that if we ever say, hey, we can't do that right now, or hey, I know you say you need this tomorrow, but it can't be done until next week, we're not being mean. We're giving you realistic expectations. The other thing I've learned, whenever you say do something ASAP, I need it now, I need it fast, you're opening the door for mistakes. Stuff doesn't get proofread. 1 or 2 links don't get checked. There's always something that can slip through the cracks when you don't give yourself the proper time to do it.
Like next to the last one.
Yes, emergencies happen, but they should be the exception, not the rule. I wish I had $1 for every time I got an email or a phone call. Oh, this email was supposed to go out today, even though they knew about it 2 weeks ago. And I get an email at 4:30 on Friday saying this message has to go out. Or we get a message, oh, there's such and such a person visiting campus today. And we get a message about it at 8 o'clock in the morning asking to print signs and update the ads and things like that. So trust me, stuff's going to happen. It's just the nature of where we work. But right now, I think we are doing more putting out fires than we should in this situation.
And just know that We are dedicated to the web users. You are our lifeblood. You're out there doing the work. We know that. We also get requests from other offices within the institution that kind of take priority to that. So sometimes we're getting pulled away from what we really want to work on to something that is like, are you kidding, really? You know? So be patient with us at times.
Yep, and that's understood the point. We have 9 colleges here. I'm willing to bet you 4 or 5 of them would tell you they're the most important one here. And we have to deal with that a lot. And that's not counting the departments and units here that will also tell you they're the most important thing. Everybody thinks they're a priority. I'm telling you all this just because it's kind of like Phil said, you all are our lifeblood, you all are our eyes and ears. If you know something that's coming up that's probably going to warrant a video, or it's going to warrant a special section, by all means, give us a heads up on it. It at least gives us a chance to kind of put it in a queue or make it top of mind so that we know. You all know the people you work for a lot better than we do. If you know a certain dean really cares about a certain event that's coming up next month and he's going to want to have all kinds of coverage of it, give us a heads up on it. That's better than having the day of event, having people yelling and screaming. I don't like people yelling and screaming at me. It makes me cry. It's just not a good thing. Just to kind of give you an idea, this is a process workflow. It's very hard to see, but the idea behind it is the web department at the University of Denver, they've got a flow chart that they hand out, and we're actually going to make one for our department. From the start of a project, it just lists what they're responsible for and what the requesting party is responsible for. And this helps them with their planning and get ahead of them. It also eliminates any confusion. Who's supposed to write up that bio for that faculty member? Who's supposed to provide photos of that event that happened? So we want to set up something like this, and it's something I want you all to keep in mind when you are asking about these things. We can only do so much without getting content and information from you all. And we'll make I'll put a link to that up if you all want to see it later, but we're going to do one for GRU. Is it an emergency? ASAP is becoming a pet peeve of mine because everybody uses it, and it's gotten to the point to where ASAP has lost some of its importance. And kind of like I said before, there are 9 colleges here, 5 think they're the most important. We understand everybody thinks their problem is an emergency, but there is kind of a priority or a hierarchy that we have to use. So very broad, is it an emergency? Anything that's directly affecting site performance, that's what you're going to see over on the left side. Don't you hate when your laser phone goes out? Anything that affects SACS requirements or accreditation, that's emergencies. Any kind of erroneous information that could get us sued, that's the kind of stuff where, okay, drop everything, let's go work on it now. Somebody saying, hey, we want a new rotator on our page. It's not to say we don't want to do it, not to say we don't want to help with it. Probably not cause for us to roll out a fire drill. Bios and staff lists. This is one of my personal favorites because people tend to think that when somebody leaves, they need to immediately vanish from the site. Like, oh, they're gone. Erase them. They never exist. Again, and there are certain circumstances where that might be appropriate, where, okay, we need to disavow all knowledge of them. Yes, exactly. My team actually has a Channing button. The day they get rid of me, they're just going to push it in. I will be wiped from the internet, period, not just GRU. Fixing typos. There are some pages that we manage. There are some pages that other people manage, but maybe they're not around. Typos are bad, don't get me wrong, but typos compared to a broken link goes a little bit further down. Same thing with full site redesigns or adding a photo gallery from a cookout that you had. So you just kind of want to keep that in mind when you're requesting these things. We're not saying that we don't want to do these things. We're not saying we refuse to do these things. But if we have to choose between something in column A and something in column B, 99.99999% of the time, column A is going to win. But like I said, don't be afraid to ask them for stuff. The worst we'll do is say no.
Or we'll give you a timeline on when we can get to it.
Right. We're more interested in saying not right now than no. except for Heather, because she's really mean. She's probably going to say hell.
I was going to say, Bill called me on my cell phone just last week and said, hey, Heather, you kind of broke our whole website. If we could have that. And I mean, that was a very nice, gentle request. And it was definitely a column A emergency situation, but it was, I really appreciated his level of, hey, so nothing works. But we got it fixed right then, within, you know, an hour. Yeah.
And speaking of Heather, now that I've given my please don't hate us when we don't immediately fix your stuff, Heather's going to talk about what you can do when you can't find us, when we're just too busy or too hungover to be able to assist you.
You can see I put a lot of work into my slides here.
And we hear that a lot. Blah, 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 blah.
I think she's saying she hears that a lot from me, but you know, I think it's true on both ends. So, what I really want to make sure everybody knows, and I'm sure probably all of you do, it's actually other more frequent callers that have problems with this. We have a massive training section on our website that is absolutely filled with step-by-step instructions of how to do something. Do you have any idea how many times I will get a phone call that is, how do I add a picture to my page? After saying the exact same thing over and over and over, it kind of got to, oh, wow, maybe we should make a video since they don't want to read this. So we now have a very large video training section. We have, this looks really bad because the resolution on this screen is entirely too small. But pretty much any topic that you all would like, you can write us and we will be happy to make a step-by-step video. Channing narrates them. You know he sounds fabulous on video. We walk you through each step, and I don't know, look, we spent an entire evening on this part one night. We're going to, at the end, we have a teleportation effect that we are extremely proud of. This was a whole night of our, you know, web team festivities making this. Come on. Well, I guess we won't get to see our teleportation, but
You have to go there and look at it. You'll see.
it's very exciting. I assure you it is worthwhile. We also have all of these training resources on our sidebar of the site. That is everything from really basic stuff like editing your page properties to all of the advanced topics like how to go through and edit your images, cropping, all of that, as well as our GRU style guide and assets list and everything. It's all on the website. We promise. If we get asked a question more than twice, we add it to the website. Okay? I think we did good.
Lots of how-to there. That's very well documented and gives you step-by-step directions on how to do things. So be sure to check that out.
All right. So now it's Davin.
This is the part you're going to like.
This is why y'all are here.
If I remember what I was supposed to talk about. I do spend a long time on my slides. So more of my stuff's going to be more demonstration. But I don't really know if you remember the first time we had one of these. I stood up and I said, you know, I'm new here, and what I want to do is really build some tools that are going to be super useful for you guys. And then consolidation happened, and it's been 2 years, and I hadn't done anything. So I've managed to carve out some stuff with the help of some lovely people from the bursar's office. They're very, very helpful, IE and things like that. And what we wanted to do is just show you a couple of things that we're developing in development that are actually available now, just to kind of make you guys' lives a little easier. And I think the first thing we're going to talk about is analytics. So on our website, there is now a tools dropdown, and analytics is one of the things in there. We get requests for website analytics all the time. We use Google Analytics, and the fun part about that is that we can provision you a Google Analytics account where you can go in there, you can look at all this in-depth stuff, but you have to have a Gmail account. We got to set it up, and it takes it a month for it to start capturing data for the new profile, and sometimes it's not available right away. So we set this thing up to where you can come here and you can select your area, a date range and things like that, and then you can get analytics, and it will give you the analytics for that date range for those items that you select for your area. So that's available now. You can go to the website, there it is, and it shows you these numbers, and there's a formatting error, don't pay attention to that. We hope this will be kind of useful for you to be able to just get some real quick information about what's going on your website. You can customize what fields you get, and you can even set a subdirectory filter. So if you wanted to look at a specific department in dental medicine or your area, you can type that into the filter at the top. You can just type the name of the directory, how it appears in the URL, and it will show you just information for that area. So we're hoping to expand some of this stuff. There's no about section because you didn't really. So if you're using this and you find an error or problem, let us know, and I'll try to fix it in between the times I'm doing all the other stuff. But also, if you go here, your unit is not listed in the dropdown, just let me know and I'll add it. And we have to do that because that's the way the application works with Google Analytics. It's got to have some type of filter. So we use that as kind of the major dropping off area for that type of information. As we have more time, he said jokingly, we're going to add some new features to this that will kind of give you some ideas about what's going on with the files in your website. For instance, that image you uploaded in 1998 and hasn't been used since 1998. We're hoping to get some of that stuff done, but that's a super complicated process that I don't know how to do yet. So as we get more in depth and we have a little more time, again, hopefully this will expand to be a little more useful for more than just analytics, more information about stuff you have on your website. The number one thing I'm hoping to do right now is to get you a list of all of the PDFs and images you have outside of your documents and images folders. Because one of the things that we're going to really start enforcing is if it's not in one of those folders, it's probably eventually going to get deleted. Because those things tend to get forgotten. They end up piling up. And I mean, we're guilty of it too. Sometimes we'll upload an image to the website and forget it's there. Now would be a great time to show a picture of Channing with his phone.
I have yours uploaded now too.
I'll delete that later. But anyway, so that's one of the things we're hoping to develop in the future, but that's going to be coming, like I said, as we get time. So that's the analytics. You can go, you can get to that through the sidebars of the tools menu. It'll pop up right there. The second thing we're going to talk about is Acalog. So I don't know if you remember, about a year ago, we started telling everybody, hey, you really should be posting program information on your pages. We need to link to the catalog to do that because that's kind of the single source of truth for that. And the catalog has these really long links with some confusing numbers and things like that in there. And then what we've found out is every year they publish a new catalog, and those links change. And that makes things a little complicated because now the links that we told you to use go to the old website. So what we did was develop a crosswalk. So we've assigned every program in GRU a GRU ID. And if you can see the website, Associate of Applied Science and Criminal Justice is GRU ID #1. That is not because it is the most important program, but it is because it was the first alphabetical undergraduate program I came to, so it got #1. So as programs are added, numbers will be added, but that program will always be #1. And that's going to be important for a couple of things because it also piggybacks off tuition. What we did was compile a list of all the active programs in the catalog right now and have a link that, if you can see, actually goes to gru.e programs.php !ID equals and that GRU number. And what happens is whenever someone clicks on that link, it redirects them to the correct active page in the catalog. So hopefully what you'll have to be able to do is put that link whenever you're linking to programs and never have to update it ever again, because we will update it every year. So every year the database will get updated and it will send them to the new correct program page in the catalog for that program. Hopefully. So there's a couple questions regarding that. What if you want to link to an archive catalog? There's some ways to do that. You can put an archive flag in the URL. And After tomorrow, there will be a drop down for the archive programs. I just did this yesterday, so there's some things that aren't in there just yet. But to be able to use this, you just go to this page, navigate to it, right-click the link, copy, paste wherever you want to link to, and that link will start redirecting people to the right catalog page. And then the thing that works with that is tuition and fees. So one of the problems we had, we noticed just on the website in general was, you guys get told what the tuition and fees are once from like your dean or something like that, and then they get changed and you don't get notified, and suddenly all that information is wrong on your web page. And students go to it and they say, well, it says that I was supposed to pay $10 to go to this program, and I have to pay $1,000. I don't understand. And that goes back to the whole getting sued thing. So what we decided to do is try to build a single source of truth database for tuition and fees. And it's been an adventure. I've learned a lot about the tuition and fees process, and I have a lot more to learn. But what we've ended up doing is setting up assets in OU campus for every single program, like in Acalog, that links to, or pulls information directly from the tuition and fees database about that program. So right now it's graduate programs, undergraduate programs, really all kind of have the same tuition and fees, despite some small minor program fees and stuff like that. And we're still working on how those are going to be displayed. But right now, graduate programs are done, and they're available in OU campus under the Assets button. So you click that, and we're going to do the MBA program, tuition and fees, because I like people who have business degrees. So what you can do is, you just click in that box to filter, and you can just type in Hull College of Business. And it's going to bring up all of the assets for Hull. And you'll see that this says Tuition, Hull College of Business, Master of Business Administration. So you click on that, select Asset, and it drops that beautiful green box in there. So whenever you save and publish the page,
Everybody stay at Heather while she's doing it.
That's right, I did the little wiggle dance. It's fine.
you have the tuition and fees embedded into the page in a table, and whenever that information changes in the tuition and fees database, it automatically changes on your website. So you never have to go in there and update things.
If there was magic in the web, he's the magician.
I get lucky. So what will happen is, again, with every year, this information is going to change. You won't have to touch it. It's going to automatically update in the database, and you'll be able to see the new information posted there. So we're hoping this will make your life a little bit easier, that you post this information once and you never have to touch it again. You may have to, edit some of the text surrounding it and things like that. It is set as far as how that information appears, because we do use that on the tuition and fees website. So it's all pulling in the same information. But if you have some ideas about how we can change this, make it a little easier to read, if you scroll down, I don't know if the MBA program has special fees. But special fees are shown, and there's a little question mark, and that'll describe, supposed to describe how that works, but it's not for some reason. Never mind, that's not there. I'll look into why that doesn't work. Again, I did those today, so, but we're hoping that, like I said, this will actually make your lives a little bit easier, so you guys don't have to post this information.
Oh, they work.
Oh, there we go. It just took a little bit of time to download.
Yeah, I was clicking in the wrong place.
User error. Thank you. I feel better. So the one caveat to this is if you see something that's wrong, we probably need to know. But more than likely, she's going to be the one telling me something's wrong. So, but if there is wrong information, just let us know, and we'll try to get it corrected as soon as possible. This is one of those emergency type situations that would be fixed pretty much immediately.
And when Davin says, I just did this yesterday, that means there's been about 9 to 12 months of work that has gone into it so that he could do the coding to get this to work yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
He's not that much of a magician.
As much as I would like to believe so now. So we're hoping to expand this. The undergraduate information is there, but we kind of decided linking to each individual undergraduate program's tuition would be kind of redundant because it's all the same. So if you look at that asset list, there's an undergraduate generic for Somerville campus and an undergraduate generic for Health Sciences campus. So if you are posting undergraduate information, please be sure you select the right campus because they do have different special institutional fees per campus. So we don't want to mislead students into thinking that they're paying one rate whenever they're going to be paying a different rate. Our hope for next year for the tuition fees website is to also have a configurator to where a student can go there and they can fill out some information about themselves and it will tell them what their tuition fees will be. Like I said, that is a hope. We're going to work on that. It's a project that I started when I got here and it got pushed aside. So we're going to see if we can maybe get that developed. And that would probably be able to be embedded on your page as well since it's all pulling from the same information.
And this tuition, this little asset, this little green bar, you can insert that anywhere on the page. You don't have to create a separate page just for tuition. It can go on the page where you're talking about that program, and then you can have all the tuition.
So we can put tuition and fee information on our pages. Are we still not allowed to put the information from the catalog on our pages?
Well, that was the one before. He showed you how to
You know, like.
We want you to link.
just link to it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're also thinking about is Acalog has an API for maybe we can pull that information from the catalog. The problem with that is it comes as XML data, and I'm getting super technical. But it's never the same data. So for instance, you might have on Allied Health pages their catalog information, a lot of information that needs to be formatted in a specific way, and the School of Medicine may have something totally different that has to be formatted in a specific way, and us code junkies like the same every time because that means it's predictable and it can work in a predictable format. So we're looking at ways to pull catalog information from Acalog to be able to be displayed on a page.
But at least that way.
People are putting it on their pages. No
Pardon?
matter what. I know some of,
Yeah,
and
and
it's there, and I don't.
we try not to be the Gestapo about that,
Yeah.
but at the same time,
I could.
it does create issues whenever that information changes. And it does change. It changes all the time. And we all know that the information changes all the time, but we may not know how it changes and things like that. So it does lead to those inaccuracies. And so we're trying to get everything to come from the source of the people who make the changes because that makes things a lot easier for you guys because we all know how it works. Somebody's going to get called and get yelled at, and we don't want it to be any of you guys, and we definitely don't want it to be us. So we're trying to find ways to keep that from happening. Yes, ma'am.
So, but we can still not have a separate tuition and fees page on our in our section of the web. We can still link to the tuition and fees.
Yeah, you can link to that all you want to as well. That's just if you did want to put that on your website. There were some people requesting that information. I know the MBA program has it listed on their pages and different things like that. So we're just trying to make things a little more versatile for you. Any other questions?
Do you have any other examples besides this one of how you're using that asset?
The tuition.
Yeah, the tuition asset. Because you did have special page that just said tuition, and I know this is a dummy page. That's not covered. I'm trying to imagine how I could, because I just have a link to tuition.
Yeah.
And that's probably the easiest, simplest way to do it.
Yeah, you would just make a new page.
Or
She's
I
talking
have
about.
it linked. It's just a link on the.
Yeah, she just has a link to the other one.
But are you saying that you can embed this and say, here's our tuition, and then it would be a hyperlink?
Yeah.
Not a hyperlink.
Yeah. So instead of having that link that goes back to the tuition fees page, you could have a link that goes to a page on your website that has the same information.
And it would just link. It would just list your particular tuition. Yeah, for that particular program. Mm-hmm.
So what we found is, especially for graduate programs, if you link to the tuition fees website, it comes to this gigantic table of all of the things, and you have to click for more information. So this brings you directly to that more information page. And so you might find it useful to be able to get students directly to the information they need right away, rather than.
And it's still under your masthead and in your site. You know, it keeps them right there on your site instead of going to.
We just been trying to shrink our number of pages. And I just don't
Oh yeah, no, you're totally welcome to link to the tuition fees page, because that's what it's there for. We will be providing some assets that link directly to your program on the tuition fees page, so it will expand the drop down and do all that stuff. But that's a little bit of custom printing coding that I haven't had a chance to get to do. So there will be a new set of assets that have just a link to tuition fees, and it'll probably have a graph associated with it or something like that. Any other questions? The other thing that I want to talk about is usernames and passwords. I know everybody really loves the OU campus system because it's outside of LDAP. Well, that's changing. Sometime within the next couple of weeks, IT is going to switch over the system that they use. They're going to use the LDAP, so you'll be able to use your net ID to log into OU campus from now on. They had to do a lot of back-end work to get that situated because of the two campuses coming together, but they say they're ready to do that. So what you'll notice is one day we're going to send out an email pretty soon that's going to say, hey guys, on September 3rd, I don't know, is today September 3rd?
Yeah.
So on
Make it the
today,
23rd.
Yeah.
so today, whatever theoretical date is going to happen, you'll get an email that says, hey, on this date, the next day, use your net ID to log in because the old password is not going to work anymore. So they'll do the transformation overnight, and then whenever you get in the morning, you'll have to use your net ID instead of your OU campus password. So just be on the lookout for that. If you know people who get the emails and don't read them, don't tell them. So they'll be like, my password doesn't work. And you say, we got fired yesterday, nobody told me. And then you can say, read your email, and they'll maybe start reading their emails, which would make us feel better. We spend a lot of time not proofreading these emails.
Will people that have not had OU campus training be able to log in yet?
They will, but they don't have permissions, so they can't
They
actually.
can't see anything.
So yeah, the permission systems prevent you from actually being able to do anything. So they could log in and it would say, what do you work on?
Just like if we log into a page we don't have rights to.
Yeah.
We get the same thing.
Then we get a whole different phone call. Okay, that was my spiel.
Right. So, we got one more slide. Web redesign is coming. We got money. They gave us money to redesign the website. Whoever would have guessed? But it's coming. We are working with Vision Point Marketing, the group that came and did the preliminary research for the website. For the past few weeks, we've been on a conference call with them and OU Campus to really hone in on what our scope of work will be and what the expectations are and who's responsible for what. We're really, really close to getting that finalized. We're planning a branding meeting. October 9th, I believe, is what the date that we've got scheduled for that will be with Vision Point and the marketing folks and several of the marketing vendors that we work with so that everybody's on the same page as far as what our branding is, what we're saying, what images to use, what logos to use, all of that. That will be kind of our kickoff meeting to start this web redesign. To help us with that, you can begin cleaning up your folders. Again, once Davin has his little tool worked out, he'll be sending you a list of all of your images and your documents that are not in an image or document folder. That means it's just sitting out there underneath your department. When you go to OU Campus and you log in and you've got your whole list, if you go to the wide view there and you go to the server, what's it called, the server production tab over there, and you look at the list that shows up there, if there is anything that shows up there that is not a page, but it's an image or a PDF or a Word document or an Excel document, they need to be moved into the appropriate folders. If you're not using Pages anymore, I cannot tell you how many sites I have gone into, and there's index 1, index 2, old index, new index, testing index. You don't need all those pages. You need one index page. If you need a test page to try things out on your site, create one page that says test and try your things out there. Don't duplicate pages. It gets very confusing, and once we move, which leads me into the next bullet point for me, is that we will be moving into OU Campus 10 when we begin this redesign process, which means we'll have to go through training again because OU Campus 10 is fairly different from 9. We are currently using OU Campus 9. So we'll have to have some pretty large training sessions. I imagine we'll try to do them in this room so we can get as many people at one time in and do a really brief, I mean, it's still OU Campus. It's still going to work the same way. It's just some things work a little differently than what you're going to be used to, okay? We're going to have to migrate the current site into the OU Campus 10 site. We just did this about a year and a half ago, and it wasn't pretty because there were so many unnecessary pages and images and documents. It took so much time to try to figure out what was really needed on a site. If you can take that responsibility and clean up your site, the migration of your site is going to go much faster and much cleaner than it did in the past. Any questions about that?
Does that mean our links aren't going to keep broken like they were last time?
Hopefully.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So, are you saying, will we have the ability to move our own pages over? Or?
No, Omni Update, who is the owner, who they are OU Campus, they will migrate the whole site. Once we get the new site built and in OU Campus 10, they will take our existing site and migrate the pages into OU Campus 10. So you should have, whatever you start with here, you should have here. There's a caveat with that, in that we don't know what the new architecture is going to be for the site. It may change because we're looking to improve the site. We're looking to improve that whole user experience. But we'll be letting you know every step along the way. If there's something you need to do, if there's something you need to be aware of, we will let you know. But hopefully we will be able to take your existing pages and move them over, copy them is what they're going to do, copy them into the new ones. Right. Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify, this is just a template. This is just a wrapper, this header and the footer at the bottom. OU Campus is going to use a migration tool to get the center content, the meat of it. And so they're going to pull that content into OU Campus 10, which will put a new wrapper around it.
Are they going to blow up the current CSS?
It will be all new.
It will all be
It
different.
happens every time we've migrated. The CSS has blown up from what
Yeah, it'll be all different.
It'll be
that's going into a new site.
So anything now that's based on Bootstrap may not work next time.
It'll still be
Yeah, we're
Bootstrap.
still using Bootstrap.
Will it be the same version of Bootstrap?
And your
No, it will not. We're
So
on
it's
the
gonna go up
CSS, as long as your page is coded correctly now, that should be fine.
Change Bootstrap versions, they don't support version 2 anymore. So if
Right.
you upgrade, so our CSS is going to.
There's a very easy conversion tool to go from Bootstrap 2 to Bootstrap 3. So don't worry, that will certainly be taken into account for it. That is the most widely used web framework, so that's the thing.
I
We
use
know.
3 different sites, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I do have noted the differences.
We totally have that in mind.
We're gonna change the whole look of the.
Absolutely.
A couple of you,
All the structure is going to change.
Yeah.
a couple of you have been here long enough to have heard my spiel. I've been here 4 years. We've had about 4 different redesigns, and I think I've answered to 5 different people. The problem is, none of those redesigns were full redesigns. We had a house that was in need of repair, and most of those redesigns were just us putting a new coat of paint on. This one, we're finally going to have time, and as Seal pointed out earlier, money, to do a proper redesign. That's why we had them here talking to everybody to find out what we need to do. This company has worked with Higher Ed before, so we can do some best practices kind of stuff. So I'm actually excited about it because I haven't had a chance to do a ground-up redesign since I've been here.
This is really exciting. I mean, it is a big bonus.
And going to a clean slate should help. Every other time we tried to migrate, we were taking parts from a Pinto and trying to put them into a Lamborghini is really what we were doing. Because OU Campus is a pretty good CMS. It's not great, it's got its flaws, but when you're taking old pages that have bad code and just terrible formatting and try to put them in this high-end CSS content management system is very strict, stuff's gonna blow up.
And the new OU Campus, well, even OU Campus now, there are many features within OU Campus that we're not utilizing.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have the capability to do it yet. This will allow us to really utilize that application, and it's really exciting.
Oh, one last thing before we go to Q&A. When Seal said you guys need to go in and clean up your content, we're by no means saying for the rest of your time here you need to go in and look at every file and go in and delete them. But when you see stuff that just looks out of date, check it. A perfect example, you've got the analytics tool. When you see something on analytics and it's got 5 page views and it's a page that's been up there for 2 or 3 years, it's probably a page you don't need anymore. So when you see stuff like that, by all means, feel free to go in and delete it. If you need, save a backup copy of it first, and then delete it. Usually, if it's getting that small amount of page views, you don't need to keep it. Now, if it's something that you're required to have, that's entirely different. But don't feel like we're telling you guys to spend 5-6 hours a day going through looking in folders. But we do just kind of want you to be aware of what to do when you see old stuff.
And your analytics will be a big help. If you pull a report and print it out and look at those page views, you're going to see that a large number of your pages are only getting 1 or 2 hits a month, maybe. Some of them aren't getting any hits a month.
Mm-hmm.
And what, we're up to 40,000, how many pages now? Was our last count?
Between 40 and 50,000.
Yeah.
When the migration first completed, we were around about 30, so we've grown about close to 10 to 20,000 pages in about a year.
So, I mean, there are a lot of pages out there that are not being seen at all.
And things like the tuition tool that Davin built, and hopefully if you get some, whenever we get the stuff, the program information, that'll help, because you won't need as many pages on your site anymore to display this
It's
information.
just a link on the page.
There are people who, they have their tuition on their site, they have 4 and 5 pages that they're using to list this info. This is one table you can put on one page. That's less you guys have to worry about managing.
Okay? Timeline. We're hoping, very optimistically, that this will be spring or early summer of next year, that this will come into effect. It may get pushed later than that. I mean, there's a lot that's involved. There's
It's the government.
what does the government have to do with it?
When has the government institution ever done anything
Well,
quickly?
I don't consider myself government. I'm sorry. I like to get things done on time, but there are a lot of moving parts within this one that We want to make sure we do it right. We want to make sure that we're sending the right message and that the real user experience is there. So
Can you
bear with
provide
us
us
a
with a
moment.
list of unlinked images and documents?
That's something we're looking to develop. That's kind of a complicated process, because basically you have to open up every web page, scan it for any documents or things that are linked to it, and then see if those are used elsewhere. I've been working on that at the same time as been working on this stuff, so.
Is there any way we can go into the production database
No.
There's
and tell what those images are with those names on it? Can we download them? Is there something we can do to do it ourselves?
There's no way to download images off production and stuff like that. So
Well, what I did for Sharon, and if you'll send in a request to the web request, I can go in on the server and I can download your site, and I can zip it up and send it to you, which will have all of your images and documents, and they'll be in the tree just like they're sitting on the site. And then you can work with that on your desktop, and you can see the images. You can view them as an image and see what they are.
And the same with documents, we could open the documents.
That would be useful. It's hard hunting on production to try and find things.
It is. I know it is. I know it is.
And that's one thing that's actually changed in OU10. They've gotten rid of the whole staging versus production server view. Files are files now. So they'll all be in one tab. So
I've
that's
got
actually
spoiled by tools that let me navigate my directory.
Mhm.
Not having that has been difficult.
By any chance, in Tim, will documents like Excel and Word go to DOCX, so we don't have to keep saving backwards?
Well, that's not an OU campus thing. That's an Internet Explorer is evil thing. Yeah, there's some links out there, because we thought it was OU campus for a while too, but OU campus doesn't play well with that DOCX, not OU campus, I'm saying it now. Internet Explorer does not
IE.
play well with that
And
DOCX.
IE, we're having all kinds of issues with IE, yeah.
Mhm.
So this redesign won't fix all of the Internet Explorer issues that
Yeah,
the DOE.
there's nothing that would ever fix all of those.
And we're,
But I mean,
Yeah.
I wish we could get everybody to stop using that, but it's
Yeah.
not.
And we will do extensive testing and everything. We will try to get it as close as we can. But with Internet Explorer, with IE coming out with a new version every year, and every year it changes the way it's reading web pages. It's like,
Every year it's less close to the specs.
yeah,
Every
Yeah.
time they redesign.
yeah.
It's tricky. IE likes to do their own thing, and we always have to find a balance. Everybody wants the latest, coolest, hippest, yes, I just said hippest looking stuff, but it doesn't always work. Heather did some really great stuff. Looks great in Chrome, looks great in Firefox. Loaded in IE says, I don't know what this witchcraft is, but I'm not going to display it at all. So sometimes we have to kind of scale back a little bit on things just to make sure that everybody can see it. Hopefully, since this new OU campus will be on a different server, that might also change some things, because part of the issue with the DOCX not loading is server configuration as much as IE, so that might change a little bit.
And with the move to OU Campus 10, we're looking at moving to a web app rather than it sitting on a server here. So it will actually be on a Omni Update server. And you log in just like you normally would, but it's going, for lack of a better term, it's going out there to their server instead of over here to one of GRU's servers.
So we're editing on the cloud.
And it's not really the cloud, but it's
private
an
cloud.
internet, it's an internet application is what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of calling it IT, we'll call OU.
Exactly. It should help. Here, it happens everywhere. Servers go down. That's just one of those things. So we're thinking we host it with OU campus. That way, if there's an outage here, it's not going to affect publishing.
So you're working around our platform.
Well, it also helps. We're not the only department that's overworked and understaffed.
Yeah.
IT is in the same boat as we are. They only have a limited amount of resources. So this would actually take something off of their plate.
And hopefully, by making this move, I don't even know if I should say this. Hopefully hopefully, you'll be able to work from home if you want. You won't have to VPN to get to GRU campus. I know.
Outside of work. You know, in the evening.
I was just like to point out, the extreme opposite reaction to that statement. Some are like, yeah, I can work from home. Others were like, It's very wild.
It would be nice to not have to VPN do what we're already doing.
Exactly. Any other questions?
Yeah,
All right,
Q&A.
we're to questions now. Anybody have questions?
I think we jumped into the Q&A part about 20 minutes ago.
Does anybody need a cookie like right now? Some of you look a little
No.
sad. I'll be happy to pass those out.
Oh, I see a hand. Yes, ma'am.
Do you all have a standard for how you want a table to look in your, this long page that I can't pull up right now because I can't remember where it is.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
I'm a,
horizontal dividers only, like, okay.
You can adjust it. Basically.
Well, it's on there and it says, you know, add this attribute.
Into the, yes, you have to switch over to HTML view.
Okay. I did that. I wasn't sure, like, when you actually insert the table.
Now, see, the thing is, did you publish it? Because sometimes
You
you
won't
actually
see it
don't see
unless
that
you do
change
it.
until you publish it.
It won't show it.
Okay, no, I haven't because it's in a brand new section.
There you go. Well, if it's on a brand new section, and especially if it's not live, by all means, just test it out. But yeah, if you add that, yeah, it actually doesn't show it to you properly in the preview. OU Campus tries, but a lot of that stuff just doesn't render.
Okay, so until I actually publish that table.
Yeah.
So it might be
Publish it, then
working.
you'll see it.
Just don't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, because I
that
want
one
it
I
to
know
look more
works.
like that, not like an ugly table.
I know it works for mine. All the tables I have adjusted, so they fit the rest of the framework.
OU Campus has what's called a what you see is what you get editor or WYSIWYG, but with our implementation, it's a what you see you probably
Kind of
what you
vague.
get.
Not even remotely what you
Yeah,
get.
so you'll notice that some of the stuff won't work until after you publish. Like, for instance, if you do like embedded tuition asset, or any of the assets really, and you go to the preview page, it's probably not actually going to show up there. You have to actually publish the page and visit it for it to show up. So if you do work on some of these things and you notice something not actually showing up, don't freak out. It probably is going to show up in production. It's just one of those fun little things we have to deal with OU Campus when it's not configured correctly.
And it's not just OU Campus. A lot of the editing environments still don't
Yeah.
have things to be published. They all have 15 preview buttons that don't preview right.
Yeah.
Do you have any training materials out there on fluid?
What's in?
Depends on what your request is.
There's a
to
thing,
add
whether or
maybe
not it's
calendar.
urgent,
Okay.
you know, 2 days is normal, it's
Okay.
kind of a.
Because I just call Channing every time I need something, but I'll just
Yeah.
stop calling you.
So see, if you tried this week, I was at Dragon Con, I was at Nerd Fest, so I wasn't which is another good thing about the forum. The forum goes to the whole team. I know there are some people who love calling me directly, and I love hearing from you all. It makes me feel special because my team doesn't really like me, so I like hearing from people who actually like me. But the forum goes to everybody. So when I am out at Nerd Fest dressed like Batman running around,
She really was. That's totally true. I was there too, but you know.
What did you dress as?
I didn't dress up. I just took pictures of everybody else.
You guys are, who's working with Big Bang Theory?
yeah, but say hello to Sheldon. I'm leaving. Okay, this meeting is taking a turn. Somebody else had a question, I heard.
Do you have any training materials out there for fluid containers? I know that you're using a Heather, and all
That
I can
one
do
is-
is take yours and modify it.
That one is so absolutely insane that doing a video or anything like that would kind of hurt everybody's brain. If you want to come and hang out with me, and I'll be happy to walk you through it. It's one of those things that really just showing you is the only thing that works.
No.
And
If we're moving to Bootstrap 3, it's naturally fluid too.
right, well,
So
that's true.
if you wait till we upgrade, it's going to build
That's going to
backwards.
be a month. That's going to be a month. No,
Depends on how
it'll be
urgent.
a long time, I promise. And it's a really fast thing to explain, but it's kind of a, let's let me show you.
Well, I just tend to duplicate your pages.
That's perfect. No, actually, that's what we're gonna do, is we are creating a bunch of pages that have things laid out, that people are constantly saying, hey, I want that page, so that you all can just copy it, put it in your directory, and be good to go without having to worry about adding in the scripts and all of that to make that happen.
Stealing is awesome.
Stealing is awesome. That is my belief. Thank you.
Copying is the best art.
With that said, I mean, really, anytime you need anything like that set up, I can make you, we have tons of snippets that are already set up for that exactly, like, oh, hey, I want 6 columns, or, you know, so.
For the redesign, will we be able to actually get a glimpse of the new design before migration?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
We'll,
we want to hear
we'll
it.
have several more meetings, focused just on the redesign once we get closer to actually having something to show.
In the preliminary discussions with the vendor, I think we have slated for pricing 15 different templates. So hopefully we're gonna, now, that's not to say that they're gonna be 15 totally different. They may be, 10 of them may be variations of color.
And it may be that, okay, we've got three specific templates that have 5 templates that go with them, that if you are in a college, you may decide on this section of templates. We don't know exactly how all that's going to fall into place yet, but we do know we're going to have multiple templates.
But we're hoping to give you guys a little more variation. So while staying in brand and staying kind of cohesive, you have some options to not have every page look exactly the same.
There'll be more buttons in the properties page.
Hopefully.
We'd like to change the layouts.
Mhm.
So with the new site coming, should we not really concentrate too much on changing what we have now? Just
Keeping it updated.
Just updated?
And cleaning up your site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, if someone,
I would really like to stress that if you've got just a little extra time, just kind of get a grip on how many pages you have, where all your images are, where all your documents are. You can find broken links though, right? That's an easy thing you can run. Yeah,
and you get plugins for that too.
yeah.
Yeah, we just can't find the other direction, which is where we have more problems.
Where are they supposed to go?
And I promise, I'm looking at options for that, but there's nothing that we can do that doesn't cost several thousands, and I'm talking $50,000 or $60,000 to buy an application that does this, because it all has to run server side. It can't just go to GRU and look at everything. There's some security risks with stuff like that. So I've been trying to find some way to do this. And with all of our many responsibilities, I work on it about 4 minutes every week. So hopefully in 35 years we'll have something in place.
Nah, we'll
I
get
hope
it.
I have that kind of job.
If I find some stray images and documents and I move them into the images and documents file, do my links move with it, or do I break my links?
You break your
Break
legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't.
That's another reason to put them in those documents and image folders from the beginning.
So that's
But-
inherited things.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot
So
to
is there any way to
it.
figure out when I move it, what I'm breaking it from?
Go back through all your pages and see where it's missing.
Yeah.
You can look at it and see where it's at. If you do find out like where you broke things, we can do a find and replace to make sure we're adding that images prefix to it. There are things we can do, but if it's like 1 or 2 things, that's not actually going to be a worthwhile.
Yeah, if it's an image that's on 1 or 2 pages, then your best bet is to figure out what image is on that page and,
But yeah, they don't maintain the links between.
like
That's
I
why
said,
all
I'll
those
be
files
glad,
are out
I'll be
there.
glad to download your site and zip it up and send it to you. Because then you'll see exactly what's out there.
Then you can let it dream and
Well, I mean, I can see what's out there, I just don't, I inherited the site, so I'm not really sure where.
Well, with,
I'm afraid to delete anything, because I don't know what's linked to it.
when I send you the files, though, you'll be able to actually see what the images look like. Right now in OU Campus, when you go to the image folder, you don't see the images.
Yeah, but
You know?
I'm not familiar enough to recognize where the image
Okay,
came from, but
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And yeah, as far as redesigns go, don't waste time, don't waste money trying to do one. And I know I'm talking to the wrong crew for this, because you all have people above you who are going to come up and say, our website needs to be more interactive. Our website needs to sizzle. Our website needs to pop, and every other buzzword that's out there. And it's just not worth it right now to do a major redesign, even for an individual section, because it's kind of like Phil said, we're still working out what our brand is and what it's going to be. So it would honestly be a waste of man hours and money if you were to try to do that.
I still have 4 versions for every update we've done of the redesign as a finish.
Yep.
Go.
On the analytic page, where it had the how many views, there was 2 columns, and one was unique views.
Unique views do not count the same IP address. So, for instance, everyone accessing the web page on campus actually uses the same IP address because of the way that our reverse proxy system works. So it actually goes outside of the network, comes back in, and serves the request that way. So what that means is if you at your house visit the web page and then you come home or come here, yeah, see, I got that backwards. I work here a lot. This is home for me. My apartment doesn't exist.
Average time is what's broken.
But if you come here and you do the same page, it's going to count as 2 views because you can get one from one IP address and the other IP address. But if you load the page 15 times from home, your unique views will only go once.
So you're still only 2 reviews.
And 15 times from here, too.
Absolutely. And that's kind of helpful because if people from here are navigating, viewing your pages and things like that constantly, which I know we end up being with people on our pages more than anybody else. So that kind of gives you an idea of some unique traffic. And we are setting up some special filters to find out what networks people are coming from and things like that. That's some of the more advanced stuff that the Analytics API is capable of that we haven't had time to really delve into. Hopefully we can get a lot more advanced with this tool to give you guys some very specific targeted information that helps you a little bit more than just knowing how many people are viewing your pages.
And do we know if the analytics is going to carry over to the new site?
It will.
And see, that's why we need y'all to help us find another team member, because then that'll free up Davin to be able to do more stuff.
We got 8 minutes a day.
Yeah, they uninstalled Minesweeper from my computer. I don't know why.
Yes.
Can just the general public pull up our analytics? Sure.
It's security through obscurity. I mean, nobody outside of this room knows that the link is
That's what
there.
the analytics means when they look at it, click on the tab and, oh, I can look.
Yeah, and I mean, and gru.edu/ocm/web is not a section most people are going to be going.
It's not a heavily visited section, right?
With the LDAP information being finalized, I will actually be able to authenticate against LDAP in future applications.
What is LDAP?
The Active Directory system, which basically stores all of your personal information, not just your.
Davin has access to your credit cards. And so
I don't even have access to my credit cards. But LDAP is the system, it's your net ID basically. So it's what runs in the background to let software know if you're allowed to look at things. So what may happen in the future is now that they've got the system working, we may start seeing some of this stuff behind a username and password that you have to log into. But security-wise and page-wise, it's not that big a deal.
No evil.
All of the files that they should be able to get to can't actually be served, so they wouldn't fire off an analytics event anyway, so that there's no listing of database connections or anything like that should show up.
the worst that could happen is another department could see that they have more page views than you and tease you about it.
If we don't have any more questions, it's about 10 after. I know we're running long, but thank you so much.
Take a cookie. For more information and other training resources, visit gru.edu/ocm/web.